Although I love sitting and hearing the crackling of the bonfire, I also like hearing some tunes, and whenever I hear these tunes, sometimes they give off these fantastic descriptions that make me sit there and want to draw them, so that's what we're gonna do today. So hi everyone, I'm Ward and welcome to my channel Wardrawsalot, and this week we're gonna turn songs into characters. Now, I've done this video before with two different songs, and I gave myself some rules to go by, and I'm gonna do the same rules this time. Rule number 1, it's all me, baby. So that means that I'm not going to be looking up anything on music videos or album covers or anything that the artist has physically done to represent the character. Number 2, maybe it's not all me. Of course, I'm going to be using all the metaphors in the song and the descriptions of the character to help build the character, and Google for research for things that I don't know. Number 3, no booty doody music. If I like the song, I'm gonna like the character, and vice versa. Of course, we gotta have one corn on the cob rule, and it's to have fun and do what I like. Our first song is going to be Arabella by the Arctic Monkeys. Now, at one point, I was a part of the Arctic Monkeys, and not really, but I listened to so much of their music that you could have sworn I wrote some of them. From what I know, there's only one version of this song. The nice thing about this song is it gives a lot of heavy descriptions of the character, and it really paints the picture of who Arabella is, and that's why it took so much interest in me to actually draw Arabella. The song starts off with Arabella's got some interstellar gator skin boots. Now, I went ahead and looked up gator skin boots because I didn't know how they looked like in specific, and I didn't really like the way they looked, especially for what this character was kind of giving off. So I did give her gator skin boots, but not the traditional kind. I kind of made it to where it suited the character a little bit better, with giving it a little bit more style to it. The next lyric states that she has a helter-skelter around her little finger, and he rides it endlessly. So what I gathered from that is that it's a piece of jewelry, and I looked up the brand online, and it was some pretty expensive jewelry, and since he rides it endlessly, what I decided to do is make the ring kind of wrap around her finger, almost like it's a road going into a spiral, and that's what made sense to me, because if he's going to ride the helter-skelter endlessly, that's kind of like how I envisioned it being on her finger. The next lyric states that she has a Arabella silver swimsuit. So I went ahead and looked up what a Arabella silver swimsuit was, because I couldn't picture that in my head. I know nothing about swimsuits because, you know, I've never worn one. So I was like, I need to look this up. And apparently it's like this one piece that has these little kind of ends tied up at the front. I couldn't find one that was silver directly because I just couldn't. So I ended up going with that physical design of the swimsuit and then making it silver onto Arabella herself, and of course that's because the description says it was a silver Arabella swimsuit. I did wonder at some point if the word like Arabella swimsuit was supposed to be a play on her words and another type of swimsuit, but once I looked up what the Arabella swimsuit was and it gave me the images, I was like, okay, so this is probably what he's talking about. The next line doesn't really give a physical description, but more so gives one of like her personality. The line states that when she needs a shelter from reality, she takes a dip in his daydreams. So not only, you know, it enforces the fact that she is wearing that swimsuit, but that she kind of likes to escape from the real world and like relax, and I'm guessing it's through dips in the pool and like having a good time. He says that she takes a dip in his daydreams. It's mostly because he's thinking about her, and probably thinking about her in that swimsuit having a good time. The next part of the song is the chorus, and there's not really much of a description there besides maybe this one line that says like she's kind on the eyes, and that, you know, just basically means she's pretty and nice to look at. Taking a break from the song real quick, I just want to say that like I completely fucked up the hands. I was like having a horrible time. I was like, dude, there's something wrong with the hands, and the more I looked at him, I was like, I completely miscolored the inside of her palms. So I tried fixing that with, removing ink, like the alcohol ink. But the more I kind of pressed in, the more it made a mess and just spread out all the ink. So I was like, you know what, let me give up on trying to make this work and redraw it completely. So after all the shenanigans that happened, I was like, I'm just going to take a new piece of paper and kind of redraw the hands and then tape them on on to make it look so much better. And then after I did that, I was like, okay, I like the way it looks a lot more now. The next descriptory thing says that she's got a 70s head. So, of course, the first thing my brain went to was like the 70s fro, especially when it comes to black woman hairstyles of that decade. A lot of it was very fro-centered, and we had other ones as well, but since that's like a more iconic image of black hairstyles in the 70s for me, that's the one that I went with, and I think suited the character very well. The next line is kind of what made me go for the fact that she was a darker skinned woman. It says that she was a modern lover, it's an exploration, and she's made of outer space. So I thought of it two ways. I could either do a skin tone where it's literally like outer space, like it's blues and purples and it's dark and it has like stars in the sky. But I'm not really somebody who does that kind of thing. It's no reason why, it's just not something I gravitate towards. But gravitate towards. But what I did take it as instead is that if she's made of outer space, I thought, what is outer space? It's dark. So if I translate that onto a human being, it would be a darker human being. So that's why I tried to make her skin as deep as I could and make it make sense with the entire theme of it all. The next lyric states that her lips are like the galaxy's edge. Now, I wondered if the galaxy does have an edge, and I looked it up, and it looks like it's a much rounder edged thing, so I made sure her lips were kind of full and round and didn't have like a Cupid's bow, just because I thought that that would make sense if it looks kind of like the galaxy's edge. The next lyric states that her kiss is the color of a constellation falling into place. So I wondered for a second, I was like, what color is a constellation? According to, Google, it says that the constellations up there are made of like a bunch of different colors put together, like reds and yellows and blues and all that stuff. But to the human eye, it appears white. So since it's a human man talking about her in a metaphorical sense, I was like, okay, let's make her lipstick white, because that's what he could see with his bare eyes. If he was more talking like he was outer space and he's next to her or with her, and in a less metaphorical sense, then I would have gone with something along the red, blue, purpley kind of path. But I ended up going with white because that's just what made sense to me. After that, we get the chorus again, and not much has changed there. So we move on to the next, oh my god, what is... stanza? Is it called a stanza? I was trying to think of like what the paragraph is called in a song. It is not a stanza. A stanza is only for poetry. It's called a verse. I completely forgot that. It just escaped from my ear and left out of my like lobe. So the next verse is what we're gonna move on to. The next verse starts off with in a cheetah print coat. So my whole life I thought this was cheetah. This is not cheetah, this is leopard. This is cheetah. So my whole life I've been calling leopard print cheetah like an idiot until I went ahead and looked up the actual animals and saw the difference between the two, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so stupid. So now I know the difference between leopard and cheetah. The next line said, just a slip underneath it, I hope, and I was like, keep hoping, because I'm not gonna draw a nip slip on her. Now the next line says organic cigarettes that she smokes. So I decided to give her a cigarette on one of those like extenders that she would hold to kind of make her look like really like fancy or classy or something, just because I feel like she totally gives off that vibe. It also helps to like ground her as a human, almost like she is somebody who smokes, so it kind of brings back from the illusion of something that she's this almost like perfect being, because usually smoking is looked at as an imperfect thing. So I think that that's like a nice little callback on it. The next line says, wraps her lips round a Mexican Coke. Now, for those who don't know, a Mexican Coke is a Coca-Cola made with real sugar. I'm guessing it's mostly made in Mexico, which is why it's called the Mexican Coke. I didn't wrap her lips around it this time though, and the reason being is I wanted to show on her little finger the helter-skelter that we talked about earlier, and how she's kind of got the pinky up, which kind of further pushes the fact that she's like a fancy, classy kind of girl. And the last thing of the song that says, it takes a sip of your soul. So I'm guessing that, like, this type of person, or Arabella, really can connect with you down to, like, the insides, truly. If she can sip your soul, that's, like, something insane to think about. After all that, of course, I put her together and came up with the character that you see now. The one thing I wanted to do for the background was call back onto the outer space kind of description. So I found that I had washi tape with a bunch of constellations on it, and like earlier in the song, he said that her lips are the color of constellations falling into place. So I put the constellations kind of to the side and on the bottom, mostly to also help fill out that empty space. But it really did help bring Arabella together entirely in this photo, and I 100% think that she would definitely look like this. In my head, there's no other way I can even bother picturing it. Now, the next song is an oldie but goldie. It's by Lloyd. It's called Get It Shawty. And even though this song has very little descriptions, especially in comparison to a song like Arabella, I still feel like it paints this really nice picture of who I think Shawty would look like. I don't have a name for Shawty. He doesn't describe a name for her either, so for the rest of this video, I will refer to her as Shawty. There's like no other option I got here. Now, although there aren't a lot of physical descriptions, at some point, yes, there will be, but not like her actually. I had to kind of piece together what I thought she would look like and use little descriptions that he did here and there in the song to kind of put together what she would look like. One of the first lyrics that he describes about Shawty is he sees her looking over her shoulder. So immediately I was like, that's the pose. So I'm going to make her almost like bent over, looking over her shoulder very playfully, like looking at Lloyd or whoever the person is singing the song. Or like if you were to imagine yourself in that song, because that's what I do. I always do like music videos in my head, like she would be looking over at me, for example. So the next line he says is, your body's looking right. Now, the thing about this is everybody has a subjective opinion about what they think looks right on a body. And so I took into like my account here, like what do I think looks right? I like, you know, well, everything, I'm not gonna lie, but I like when there's like a little bit chub on a girl, or like when she's like super tall and like almost Amazonian. So I really wanted to kind of give the vibe that she's tall and that she's got a little bit of chub on her. There's nothing really else in that verse that describes anything about her, but in the chorus it does give off like at least one thing, which is he wants her to back it up and put her weight on it. So immediately I was like, okay, if that means she got to have some weight on her. So that's why I made sure that, you know, she was very gifted in the back and that, you know, she had bigger thighs, bigger butt, and then the chub is there as well. So she is overall larger or taller. So this way, you know, she can put some physical weight. You can't put no weight if you're like a lightweight, you know, girl. It just doesn't make any sense. After we skip a few verses, this is when he really starts to give some description of her. He says jeans tight, high heels. So I made sure she got the tight jeans on, and she's got like red heels on. Lip glossed, teeth white, apple bottoms, let me bite. So apple bottoms is the like famous apple bottom jeans that was used all throughout the early 2000s. So I made sure to look up some like older apple bottom jeans on Google and use that description to go ahead and put it on the character. But I made sure that since it said pants tight, that it was, you know, like a skinny jean on her instead of like a flared jean. Of course, I give her the white teeth and the glossy lips. That's just mandatory in my book. I think every character gets glossy lips. It doesn't escape me in any way. Now, when we look at the line that says, like, let me bite, so what I'm thinking is that since she's got, like, a juicy booty, and it's an apple-bottom jeans, because it's so, like a plump butt, he would want to bite into it. So that's why I made sure to, you know, make sure the booty's, like, fully endowed, as they say. The next line I see is that, like, she smells good, which you can't really smell, you know, a character through the paper, but I did make sure to kind of put around later, you'll see a bunch of stickers with, like, sweets on them to kind of give off a sweet smell, because I believe a sweet perfume is very enticing. it smells delicious, so that's why I kind of did that to put into the character. Now, the next line says, "Are you the daughter of Frankie Beverly?" Now, I tried looking up who Frankie Beverly is, and he's an American singer and songwriter, but, like, his life is very private, apparently, so, like, he doesn't put up any of his family online or anything, so I had no idea what she looked like, so I had to kind of disregard that line as a result, but that is a description that he used, so I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. The next line states that she grooves, like moves and grooves, so she's dancing. He's the fan and she's the celebrity, so I made sure she was very like a vivacious personality. She stands out in the room, and just from not only the way she looks, but the way she acts. And apparently that she does some freaky stuff, but I ain't draw that part. But that's what the description says. After that, the chorus just kind of repeats itself, and that's all we get for Shawty. Now, although we don't have like a lot of actual physical descriptions, I did try and play around with the lyrics a little bit to create the character that I needed to right here. For some reason, it is way harder than you think to find songs with physical descriptions of people. It's more so the things that make them that person, or if they do have the descriptions, it's very specific, but it's a very like broad range of these types of characters, especially in songs. So a lot of imagination has to be used for a good majority, but at least when I do these kinds of songs, I want some kind of description to feed the character that I'm going to create. Otherwise, it's just going to be an OC, and at some point, if it is going to be an OC, that's fine, but realistically, I'm drawing the character from a song, not my own character, you know? For the background, like I said earlier, I placed a whole bunch of like sweet, tasty looking stickers to kind of give off the vibe that she's a sweet or like sweet smelling person, so that kind of feeds into that. But that's basically what Shawty looks like to me, and I think that they both came out absolutely gorgeous. I love Arabella and I love Shawty, and I think that their personalities are so unique but so present, and I absolutely adore them both. So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye!